It's AFC Championship week, and the Chiefs and the Bengals are playing again back-to-back seasons for this AFC Championship matchup. Back at Arrowhead Stadium for the fifth straight year. Mahomes versus Burrow. Mahomes for his fifth straight year in the AFC Championship, looking to get to his third Super Bowl and win his second, but first got to get through the Bengals. This is a legit Bengals team. They've beaten Kansas City 3 straight times. Everybody knows that. But what can the Chiefs do to get over the hump, beat the Bengals, even without Mahomes at 100%? He's got this high ankle sprain. He's looking good early on this week. Reports are positive, which is kind of what I was expecting. Just because it's Mahomes, that man is a freak. He does not stop, and nothing's going to stop him from what he wants, and that's going out there and playing great football this weekend. That's one thing that was different in the AFC Championship last year. Mahomes, probably his worst half, maybe in his career, in the second half and overtime of that Cincinnati Bengals game. The Bengals came out and shut him down. Credit to them. And now the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, Lou Anarumo, is getting some more credit, which he definitely deserves. It's an unheralded group. They've got some solid players on their team, but no superstars on that defense. And they're getting it done. They stuffed the Bills last week, and they're going to look to do something similar against Kansas City. Of course, it starts with Mahomes and that offense being able to move the ball. I'm excited to see Kadarius Toney. He's really come on. I think that he can have a big game. Of course, Kelsey was dominant against the Jaguars. There's going to be a lot of attention on him in the regular season game earlier this year. Kelsey didn't have a catch in the first half, and then he had that big fumble against the Bengals, so I'm sure he's going to be looking to come out and have a huge game, or at least make some critical plays when the Chiefs need them. The offensive line has to protect. The Bengals, they like to just rush 3 against Mahomes. They may do that a lot in this game. The offensive line has to do their job, give Mahomes time. They've rebuilt this offensive line for a reason. This has to be their biggest test yet, and they have to show that that was a success, the way that this offensive line is at its current state. Then, really the biggest key, though, for me is the defense. This is the biggest key in the whole entire game. The defensive line and the edge rushers of Kansas City getting pressure on Joe Burrow. They've sacked him just twice over the last 2 games against Cincinnati. Once last year in the AFC Championship game, once in the regular season game this year in Cincinnati. There's got to be more pressure on Burrow. And last week, the offensive line with 3 new starters held up pretty well. But that was against the Bills defense that didn't have Von Miller, a Bills pass rush that has been really bad since losing Von Miller. Nobody is a standout without Von Miller there. And that was in the snow, where it's harder for those defensive linemen and those edge rushers to get quick first steps, get around the offensive line. I think those are huge factors. And this week, Kansas City has to be able to expose these backup linemen for Cincinnati, put Joe Burrow on the ground, get him hurried, get him uncomfortable, because if Burrow sits back there like he's been able to do, we know what he can do. He's a phenomenal quarterback, second best in the league, no doubt about it, behind just only Patrick Mahomes. So look for Frank Clark, look for Chris Jones. The rookie Karlaftis is coming on. Carlos Dunlap against his old team. Those guys have to have big games and an impact for the defense, because the young secondary is playing pretty well, but they're no match for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins if you give Burrow all the time in the world. And then it's going to be up to the linebackers and that defensive front to stop the run game. Bengals ran all over the Chiefs earlier this year with Samaje Perine with Mixon out, and the run game was huge against Buffalo last week for Cincinnati. Nick Bolton, second in the NFL in tackles this season. He's a great player, but he's going to have to play another great game and even step up his level than he did against Jacksonville, because the Jaguars were getting some open runs with ETN and even Jermichael Hasty. Big game for Bolton, for Willie Gay in the linebacker spots, and that defensive front. Being able to control the line of scrimmage is going to be huge. I think that's where the game is going to be won. Look for the rookie Karlaftis to have a big game, get a sack. Look for Chris Jones to get his first playoff sack. And look for the Kansas City Chiefs to be going back to the Super Bowl, taking down Cincinnati in this game. My pick, Chiefs 28, Bengals 21.